Hi everyone, I'm Nell Beckerman. I'm the author of Caves, and I'm very excited to answer some questions about caves in front of a real live cave. Oh my gosh, this is Bronson Cave. It's right here in the middle of Los Angeles, and guess what? This cave was used in the original TV series for Batman. This is the Bat Cave. Can you believe this? It's so cool. Okay, so I'm very excited to get started with your questions. And the first one is, what was your favorite book as a child? The House on East 88th Street is the first book in the Lyle the Crocodile series. The idea of this old house in New York City, everything about it seemed very exotic. And they got something called Italian ices. I was really interested in what an Italian ice was. And the first time I went to New York, that was one of the first things I did, is I got an Italian iced. I read this as a kid. I loved it. I didn't think much about it after I got older. I grew up and I ended up moving to New York City. And then one day I realized, wait a minute, I not only live in New York City, but I live on East 88th Street. Books that you are reading now, my friends, they might influence your life as a grown-up in ways that you don't even know yet. Just some food for thought. So talking about my interest in caves, how I got interested, well, if you look in the back of the book, you can see a picture of me and my dad. I've been coming to caves since I was little. My dad has always taken me on lots of nature adventures, and guess what? He still does. Okay, next question is, what is the most interesting cave I learned about, and why was it so interesting? The one I really found myself just researching more and more and more and more, because so much of it was amazing, was the Rising Star Cave in South Africa, where they discovered part of our human ancestry that we didn't know about, called the Homo naledi. The anthropaleontologist who was in charge of the project, his name is Dr. Lee Berger, he put an advertisement on Facebook, and he said, I'm looking for people who are very flexible, dexterous. They're not afraid of small spaces. They're not claustrophobic. They have scientific training, so they know how to handle fossils. And the people he picked to carry out this excavation all happened to be women. I thought that was really interesting and notable, and it was inspiring to me. And then I got to interview two of these women. They said the tunnel in the cave to go find these fossils, part of it was so narrow, 17 inches, that they could only get through it by putting one arm close to their bodies and one arm straight ahead, and they're on their stomachs. They call this the superhero pose, or the Superman pose, on their stomachs in pitch black, and just kind of wiggling using their toes to get through. And then another part of the cave required them, this isn't in the book, it required them to step into a hole that was so little that they had to turn their head a certain way so the helmet wouldn't get stuck in the hole. And they keep on finding out new things about the Homo naledi. They found that it's possible that this was a burial ritual, which they didn't know existed. They found whole skeletons of children of this sort of ancestor. They keep on finding more and more things about it. So that's my answer for that one. Okay, what is my favorite illustration in the book? I think this one might be my favorite, the glowworm grotto in New Zealand. One little detail about the lava tube cave that I really love is that a person using a wheelchair is in the illustration. We wanted to make sure that everyone knew that caves are for everyone, and that you don't have to even be able to walk to have a cave adventure. What advice would I give young authors to improve their skills? Well, when I was a kid, I read a lot. I loved reading. And even if you don't like reading books, listening to audiobooks is just as good. And I learned so many words doing that. That really increased my vocabulary. And the reason that's important is, like, if you think of playing a video game and you collect more weapons or you collect more extra powers, and that makes you a much better gamer, it's the same is if you collect more words and then you have a bigger vocabulary, and that makes you a better writer. Well, thanks for hanging out with me and going on a little caving adventure and meeting my dad. This was super fun, and don't forget, reading caves, it's not just reading a book, it's going on an adventure. Have fun!